toenails and blistered heels, salt stains streaking down my face. Sun is beating, muscles scream, but I'm moving at my pace. Run the riot! Leave the world behind! Run the riot! You free your body and your
All right, we're talking with Suzan. What's going on, Suzan?
Suzan just had a power nap, I think was one of the things I was telling you.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, normally we, chit chat before with the guests on the air, but I was like, nah, let's just hit record and have fun.
I love that. It sounds good. Yeah, it's been a busy day. I had a speaking event at a school system today. And so on this journey I'm on, which I know we're going to talk about, I have to do a certain number of miles a day. And so I got a little shortchanged. And then instead of feeling bad about it, I just decided to eat a snack and take a nap. And I feel much better now.
Nice. So this journey you're on that we're going to talk about, how many days in are you?
Let's see. Today, 19. 19.
That's awesome. And so the web page that we'll talk about too says that you were, I guess, as of yesterday, 411 miles in. And so how many miles did you get in today?
Yeah, I only got 14 in today. So that means the next couple of days I'll have to make up a couple miles every day. I have to average 23 miles a day to get across the finish line when scheduled.
All right.
But I knew these days where I am right now on the journey, I knew it was going to be a little bit tougher because the terrain is tougher.
Nice, nice. Well, let's do a big old rewind, because when we had you on before on the podcast, you mentioned this journey that you were going to be on. It was still kind of, getting it organized and everything else, but now like you're doing it. And I thought it'd be fun. I'm probably going to go ahead and release this one like this weekend so people can follow you on the journey. And then hopefully you'll come back on. I mean, sure, after, and let's do a recap of all the things. But
let's do it.
Yeah, give the listeners a description of what is happening right now.
Yeah, let me see. So first of all, let me say I feel incredibly lucky. Not only does running bring me so much, but I happen to work for an employer. I work for the Cigna Group, and I work for an employer who believes in giving back. And so they put their money where their mouth is, and they have what's called a community ambassador fellowship. So you can put in an application for a cause that's near and dear to your heart. There needs to be a health focus at some level, and it's something that you can bring a special skill to. And
Nice.
if the project that you propose is accepted, then you are allowed to take a certain amount of time off of work while they hold your position. Your teammates kind of pull up the slack, and you go do this project, this community-oriented project, and then they wait for you to come back, and they want to hear about the experience, and they're hoping that you're investing in the community. So I knew that I always had a bucket list item to try to work my way across the United States, Forrest Gump style. And
Love it.
but I knew, a lot of people, when they think about that, they draw point A to point B on the United States map, and you look for the shortest distance. And some people want to do that and do the shortest time. But in those situations, you're running on interstates and things, or near interstates, which is really dangerous. And some of the places that you would go aren't conducive to that. So at the time when I was toying with this, how to put together my bucket list dream idea, I ran across the American Discovery Trail. And it's a trail that was built in the early 90s, mapped out in the early 90s by some folks from Outdoor Magazine and Hiking America. And they plotted a course from West Coast to East Coast. And the goal was to try to remind people of all the great green space that's in their communities, and also connect community to community and provide you a way that you could literally step from one coast to the other and see lots of areas. And I will say mostly rural areas, because
Yeah.
that's what would be most conducive to the running, right? Or the walking.
Right. Yeah.
So mostly rural areas in the country. Well, I grew up in southern Illinois, very rural southern Illinois. I think I might have told you my stoplight or my county still doesn't have a stoplight.
That's
That's how
wild. That's
rural
so
it
crazy.
is.
I love it.
Yeah. And so as I was looking at this trail, which is a combination of rails to trails, country roads, farm roads, and a
Mm.
little bit of state highway, a few little state highway segments. It went right through where I grew up. It went right through where I had my first 14 years of my career, where I brought my daughter home from the hospital. It worked its way into St. Louis, which is where my employer is, and on into Denver in the
Wow.
central section of the trail. It's broken up into west section, central section, and east section. And so I thought not only would that be cool to run across the Midwest, but those rural areas there are underserved from a health care perspective. There's
Yeah.
a shortage of physicians. There's a shortage of fresh food access in a lot of cases. There's a shortage of formalized green space and facilities for exercise. You know, it's difficult sometimes for people in the area to carve time out of their day to exercise when they feel like they don't know where to start, they don't know where to go, and they don't know there aren't naturally lots of 5Ks around or any of those sorts of things. So it's a little bit foreign. So
Yeah.
I thought, why don't I use the American Discovery Trail and run through the areas like the ones where I grew up and worked and talk about setting big, audacious goals and how you use incremental thinking to accomplish things that seem at the limits of possibility, like ultras, and live the fact that it is a real thing that can happen. And so along my journey, as I've been running, I've been stopping in these rural areas and talking with schools and girls groups and the media to be able to draw attention to the fact that the organizations like Girls on the Run, one of their key objectives is to help girls activate their limitless potential and to really question the limits of what they think is possible.
Nice.
So it just seemed like a perfect fit for ultra
Yeah.
running and how you go about trying to do what seem like impossible things. I hope that recap helps.
No, that's fantastic. That's perfect because you answered. I have a list of questions that I want to make sure and hit, and you just answered a bunch of them. I was like, oh,
Yes.
check. Yes. No, but so don't you love it when you feel like there's something there and those things just start falling into place? Like there's a trail.
It's meant to be.
It goes through my life.
Yes.
It goes through my work, like all these connections, and you're like, well, I kind of just have to do it now.
Exactly. Yeah, when I hit the point on the weekend, there are two blacktops that come together, and it's at the spur right outside of my little tiny town where I grew up as a kid. When I hit that spur, then I stopped and took some video and recorded some content because I couldn't believe that I had made it from where that section of the trail starts, which is right outside of Cincinnati, all the way to this tiny little town in Illinois in my first 2 weeks. And that was pretty exciting.
Oh man, that's so cool. I was going to say, one of the questions I was going to ask is like, how do you, cause we all want to do things, but like we got to work and stuff. So shout out to your employer for doing this and supporting this. That's huge because, so many people have dreams, but you gotta make a living, you got to do things. And so, man, by giving you the time, they're supporting this effort. What a cool partnership. They're partnering with you in that. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. They gave me also money to donate to Girls on the Run. So the supplies and the things that I've been utilizing along the way came from that funding. And also I'm able to, when I do a speaking event, I'm able to leave behind funds for season fees for girls that want to join a season of Girls on the Run, but they can't afford their season fees. So, and along the way, I'm trying to add on, there's a fundraising link on my website, but that's what the money is for. It's to help those girls who would really like to do Girls on the Run, but they just can't afford it.
Nice. So I think since we talked last, you've done, and we won't talk about those now. We can maybe talk about those later. You've done some other races, and well, we just do races because we do races and stuff. But also,
Right.
I'm sure it was partially in preparation, for this huge feat. And so what else have you done to get yourself ready for this? Because, okay, and for most people that are listening, like ultra running world, like, 23 miles a day. Okay. But day after day after
Day
day
after
after
day.
day and I was looking at some of your videos and stuff, exposed and it's starting to warm up and it's getting humid out here in the Midwest. Like
Yeah,
this morning I got 8 miles in and it's getting funky outside.
that's right.
Those things add up. So what did you do to kind of put the icing on the cake to prepare yourself to do this?
Yeah. Yeah. And I certainly, I know there are people, I mean, Courtney comes to mind, right? Running 140, 160 miles a week. I was
Yeah.
never someone who would do 140 or 160 miles a week. And I think most people I know do not either.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I was training for Southern States 200, and that happened in March. That was before we talked last. So I worked up to my peak volume before the race and then did the race. And at that point, my coach and I decided that, my body knows how to do miles. It's going to
Mhm.
be really hard without already pre fatiguing yourself. It's going to be really
Yeah.
hard to just start running 23 miles a day in preparation to run 23 miles a day. And we decided I honestly would be better off, since I had already worked up to the 200, to just take a couple of weeks and rest. I did a lot of hiking,
Yeah.
a lot of eating, a lot of sleeping, a lot of some strength
Yeah.
training. And then, just kicked it off. And I felt like, the first couple of weeks, if it got difficult, I'd probably just split up the miles. So maybe do, 11 in the morning, 11 in the afternoon or evening. But I just decided instead, I started out of the gate and I just started doing the 23 miles. And, it probably took me, maybe 5, 6, 7 days before my body would wake up and go, oh, this is what we do now. This is our life now.
This is life for a while.
So it was, I would say preparation would have been just kind of flowing from that peak 200-mile training plan into a little bit of rest and then just start doing it every day. Now you're right. The last couple of days, as I said, have been brutal because
Yeah.
we had 5 or 6 straight days of rain. When I started just outside of Cincinnati in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and it was raining the moment I started, and it really didn't stop through the entire state of Indiana. I think I had 2 days that didn't rain, and pretty much every day after that rained. So now I'm in Illinois. I'm on the River to River Trail, which in and of itself is beautiful, but it is very technical, and the levels of mud
I saw some
are
of your
really
video.
hard.
It was funky.
Oh my gosh, they're really hard for me to describe, the level of mud. Knowing I had the speaking event, I got out about 5:15 in the morning, drove there, because each day I have to be driven there, dropped off at where I left off the day before, and then run the 23 and then picked up at the end. But this section, the 14 miles that I did today, at one point I put my foot in down and I thought I was stepping on a solid ground, but it went with mud all the way up past my kneecap. And then I had to try to
Fantastic.
pull my leg out. And it's a horse trail. So there's
so
horse
it's
manure everywhere. It's like they call it affectionately in the area, they call it the porridge trail, because it's just muddy and horse poopy regularly. So it was that. Plus today I had multiple trees down from the storms, and there's, gosh, I think I had 8 water crossings in the 14 miles, one almost up to my hips. So
Wow.
it's slow going. It's
Well, at least it
just
washes
slogging
the poop
away.
off.
Washes the poop
off.
porridge off. Yeah.
So
But
good.
yeah, it's slow going. Like I'm not getting more than, 3.5 miles an hour right now, just slogging away. But got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk you'd look forward to the roads,
Right. As soon as you complain about busy state, county highway or whatever, where cars are coming by, then they put you into the poop porridge, and then that's it. You're
That's
ready to go back to the roads.
Hey there, my friends. If you're like me and you're getting up early to get the running in, to get the working out in. I'm up at 4 a.m. every stinking morning. By the time lunch rolls around and I have my lunch, man, I get sleepy after lunch, and I'm unfocused, and I have a little trouble after lunch just getting back on task and doing the things I need to do. Well, I started taking Magic Mind after lunch. I have my lunch, I wait a little while, and I take a shot of Magic Mind. And it is fantastic. It gets me focused again. It gets me on task, and it's not like a crazy thing. It's just like everything just kind of comes back into focus, and I can do the things that I need to do. And since I've been taking it pretty regularly, I noticed just overall, my focus and my memory has been better. Now, I love this stuff because there's no crazy chemicals in here. It's all good stuff. It's natural stuff, and it's sourced from reputable and tested companies. And so, there are a lot of things you can take out there that will, just got all kind of crazy stuff in it, if you know what I mean. And this is it's just natural, and it's good. And so I highly, highly recommend it to you. And so if you go to Magic Mind with the link that's the letters run, and then you use the code Run the Riot APR, that APR is for April, you get a special discount. Again, that's run, and use the code Run the Riot APR, get a big old discount to try or to subscribe to Magic Mind. So check it out, guys. It'll be good for you. Oh man. Well, but like while you're doing it, it's that type 2 fun. It's like you do it and you just push through, and if it was all the same thing all the time, and if it was all easy, anybody could do it,
Right.
And so, it's like, I don't know, kudos to you for doing it, And I was thinking, when you said you started off in the rain, I don't know if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, but so it begins.
That's right. That's how I felt too.
Just
Oh my gosh.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. 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 Today, one of the kids in the event asked me a question. They said, do you ever get to the point where you get really sad or frustrated or hurt and you want to give up? And I'm like, yes, this morning. I said,
matter of fact,
I thought I would try to pick up the pace because I thought I was on pretty even, like rolling single trail, hit some rocks, hit it on the rocks, ripped my knee and a hole in my pants. And then I go in the mud, and then I'm in the river crossings, and to no one, because I'm in the forest alone, basically for hours. I said, I'm so over this trail. And then I just had to kind of take a couple breaths. I got my music started again. I had my protein bar, and I'm like, okay, all right, reset. Let's start again.
Yeah. You gotta go from the negative self-talk to the positive.
That's right. That's right.
Well, so you got, and I just want to, as a coach too, kudos to not, you feel like you got to run and do things to get ready for it, but to know you got to be rested up. Kudos to your coach, because that's what I was gonna. When I saw you did Southern States, I was like, that's great training for this.
Yeah.
And then you just need to be fully recovered and ready to get into it, and then just do the thing, and let your body decide, like, okay, this is life for a little bit.
That's right.
And I don't think we said it, but the total trail, what you're doing right now is 1,920 miles. I'm sorry to remind you of that, but
I know. I wish you hadn't. No. Yeah, it's true. I think it doesn't bother me so much when I'm in, at least shaded, lush Southern Illinois, Garden of the Gods area. But when you remind me when I'm in the middle of the heart of Kansas in June on the exposed farm roads, then I will very much remember how many miles are left.
That's good. Well, I figure you shared it with the kids today anyway, so they need to know. That's good.
That's true.
So you sounds like you did smart with training and getting ready for it, and making sure you're healed up. Now when you do something like this, you have a plan on, so many miles a day, you got a crew, and you can start mapping these things out. Now, just like in any ultra, just like probably when you did Southern States, the plan sometimes just kind of has to go out the window and change. So 19 days in, what have been the big things you've already had to alter? And I'm curious because I'm sure this is going to change when we talk again. But
I'm
as so
sure.
far, what has had to change as far as food, as far as clothes, as far as crewing, anything? What's been the big changes so far, or did you nail it?
Well, knock on wood, I have really had a pretty easygoing time in terms of meeting my plans every day. So
Nice,
some
nice.
days I get out, yeah, some days I get out a little bit later than I would like because I have the best of intentions, and then I sleep so soundly that I don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
But the rain threw me off. The trail work in the forest after the rains slowed me even more than I thought it would. But
Yeah.
I was just willing to, like I said, slog it out an extra hour or two every day and make it work out. Today being the exception, this is the fewest number of miles today that I've done, which means for the next couple of days, I'll likely just tack on 2 miles a day every day until I play catch up for that last 8 miles or whatever it was that I needed. But what I've been doing is like yesterday, I ran an extra 2 miles just because I knew that I had this event for today. And I did that off and on. Any day where, let's say I had to duck under for a second because of lightning or something, once that passed, then I tried to tack on extra that day or start earlier the next day. And it still evened out pretty well to the same number of miles. So that has worked out okay. And I hope it continues to do so when the heat arrives, like you said. I would say one thing has shifted physically for me, which is I am starving. And normally
I bet.
I don't really eat as much as you would like, as you would think that I would. I mean, I know you and I talked about this briefly because Peter Mortimer, my coach, is all about the high fat metabolism thing. And I don't eat a lot of gluten or sugar because it upsets my stomach. I have very sensitive allergies and stomach and things like that. So I tend to eat pretty lean in terms of that. A lot of meats, a lot of fats, not a lot of carbs. And I am eating pretty much everything I can get my hands on. I had a whole pizza
Nice.
night before last, barely made it to the table before it was in my mouth. And I was packing a couple of bars and a sandwich and some candy and things. And then I've been plowing through that in the first like 2 to 3 hours every day already. So, but I think we calculated it based on what Strava is telling me. I think I'll burn an extra 160,000 calories by the finish day. And so
Nice.
it should be no surprise, I guess, that I am absolutely ravenous.
Yeah. You
Which I didn't
you gotta
expect.
fuel. You gotta fuel it. You gotta fuel.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's
well,
changed, I think.
okay. Have you noticed any, I know where, I mean, that's pretty significant being 19 days in. Have you noticed any, body, composition changes or anything unusual there?
Yeah, so I'm a little person, normally weigh less than 110 pounds. And
Okay. How tall are you?
I'm 5'2". Yeah. So I'm
Okay. Oh, you
little.
see, it's so hard to tell online.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't met in person, but we've talked on here and we've, online and everything. So, okay. Well,
I'm
you're
tiny. Yeah.
you're not a big person.
I'm not a big person. And so I always knew that going into it, one of my concerns was to make sure I was eating enough because I knew I would lose weight and I don't have a lot of weight to lose. And so I have noticed that I have lost weight. And I don't know, my legs are like stringier looking than they used to be, like all tendon and muscle.
Yeah.
And it's starting to, and my
Probably
body
ripped.
is like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm getting some abs, it's all good. But
Nice.
yeah, it's really just trying to make sure that I have enough food. And especially on those days where I'm making up any miles or trying to get ahead on any miles. I did toy with the idea of trying to get ahead enough so that I could have a rest day. Right now, that doesn't look real hopeful for me.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I get on the Katy Trail in Missouri, which is super nice, crushed gravel flat trail, and maybe I'll
that's
go
a fantastic
flying.
trail.
But we'll see.
Yeah. Are you, so we're talking about food. Are you doing like, when you're done, besides just eating pizzas and stuff, are you doing like a protein shake? What are you supplementing with, to try to keep, cause you're probably going to lose some muscle mass over the course of this. It's just the way it's going to happen. But are you taking like protein and stuff to try to minimize that as much as possible?
I've really just been relying on extra calories and protein bars, peanut butter. I have
Okay.
a lot of peanut butter,
Okay.
and I eat a ton of fish. I eat fish every
Nice.
day,
Okay.
lots of fish.
Okay.
So really, it's just that I don't seem to do very well with the powders and
Yeah.
the drinks for whatever reason.
Well, if you're getting it naturally like that, I mean, a lot of people
Yeah,
have trouble eating a lot enough like that, but if you're getting it, man, that's the best source, that and protein
yeah,
bars, that's fantastic.
yeah, yeah.
Nice. Well, you answered the question I was going to ask. Do you have any 0 days planned? And I guess you got to earn it.
You gotta earn it.
You
And
got to
when
earn
you're
it.
in the trail that I'm on right now, it's gonna be
Just-
hard to earn. It is
yeah.
not gonna happen. I only saw two people today on the entire trail, and they were on horses. And
Nice.
they said it was too muddy for their horses. So if that tells you anything, I
There you
would
go.
say
Well,
no one no one wants to be out there.
they were out there pooping it up for you. That's what it was.
Exactly. Thanks for the poop
Oh,
porridge, folks.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, the good thing is, I was looking at the route, and I will put in the show notes for anybody to go your website, and you've got a great link with the route. And it looks like, and I, I've run in Kansas quite a bit. I've run north to south on the Prairie Spirit Trail, but like some of the trails you were talking about, there's some fantastic flat trails, and hopefully, like by the time you get there, you'll be able to like get just get in a groove and catch up some time, and it'll be it'll be a little better than what you're on now.
Yeah, I hope so too. That's my hope, starting in Missouri and then on into Kansas. And I would say for any of our ultra running buddies out there who happen to be in the Missouri or Kansas, southern Missouri, southern Kansas areas, and want to come do miles with me, gets
Nice.
lonely day after day, please have them message me through my website, and I'd love some company. That'd be great.
That fantastic. I didn't even think to ask you that, because those miles they get pretty lonely. How often is your crew meeting up with you to check on you and stuff? It just to kind of depend on the where you are, or
Yeah, so my primary crew is my husband. Poor guy.
okay.
He spends most mornings dropping me off. He'll do a couple of miles with me, and then he'll run back to the truck, and then he'll go and work remotely. We pull a travel trailer along that's kind of my traveling aid station, but he'll park it, 20, 30, 40 miles away, and then he'll go work, and then he'll just drive and come pick me up. So most of the time, I just see him at pickup and drop off, and we
Okay.
usually try to call in some help and favors from people on the weekends to do some pickup and drop off so that he can run the weekend miles with me, because he's training for
Wow.
his third 100 miler, in November. So yeah, so we could always use company. It's a lot of hours out there on your own.
No kidding. We're gonna have to get him on here too, so he can give the skinny on okay, how she's smiling and happy now. How
Right.
give me some dirt. Give me some dirt on
I know.
Susan.
Well, he got that earlier today when I said, I can't tell on the map that I had loaded to my Enduro. I'm like, I can't tell how many miles I actually had left when you picked me up. And I said, I did 14 and I did 2 extra yesterday. And he tried to tell me I had 11 miles. I'm like, that is not right. And so I started giving him a hard time. He's
That's
like, I'm
right.
just, throws his hands up. I'm telling you what I see on the map. I'm like, well, that is not right.
So I'm gonna pray for your safety, but also for your marriage, because that's
Yes, thank you. I said that to someone. I'm like, we'll either come out of this being closer than ever or divorced. I'm not exactly sure which one.
hey, kudos to him though. That's huge. That's a big commitment. But what a
It
cool
is,
adventure for you guys to partake together. Like
for
even when,
sure.
when my wife Jennifer, she's crewed me for multiple 200s, and that's huge. It's a huge
Absolutely.
commitment. And it's hard, and this is kind of a whole another level.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree.
Oh, man. So wait, let me double check and see, because I think you've answered the major questions that I've asked. Let's see, fueling, yes. What changed? When are you what's your finish date? What's your potential finish date?
Friday, July 18th, and it is not potential. It is when the finish date is.
I almost
I'm
corrected myself,
willing it.
but I was going to see if you were going to correct it.
I'm manifesting. I'm willing it into reality. No, girls on the Run of the Rockies, who've been so supportive and great in the Denver area, they have a finish line celebration with a local running store and some other folks there. And they've got their big inflatable, just like they use on the 5K. So I'm going to feel super special when I come across. I'll probably cry. I miss my dogs desperately. So I said, someone has to bring my dogs, and I have to see my dogs at the finish line. So yeah, July 18th.
That's going to be great. And so what's going to be interesting is, you're going to do Kansas. And then when you get to Colorado, the eastern part of Colorado is, pretty flat. It's like Kansas, but then I see where the route is taking you, like through near Colorado Springs and stuff. So
up and up and up and up and up.
Yes. Yeah. It'll be a welcome change at first, I'm sure. But
yes,
I'm sure you're going to handle it like a champ, though. You'll be in, ready to go. And,
I'm going to try.
That's when you're smelling the finish. Once you start hitting that area, it's like, all right,
that's right.
You're counting down the
Smells
days.
Like home. Yeah, that's right.
What's funny is, and you can testify to this, having run hundreds, 200s and all that. There's something when you get down to from double digits miles to single digits, or when you have a marathon left. But for you, it's going to be when you have, like single digit days left.
Right.
I just have nine days left.
9 days. Yeah. I even thought about it, with today being, I think, what did I say? Day 19. I thought, day 21, I'm 25% through. Like I really did, start to think about it that way, for sure.
It's those games we play, in an ultra, but just kind of a little bit bigger. And that's how I would do it, like quarter of the way through, or, or I'm this much through this state, or, just break it up and you just keep moving. So for the most part, it sounds like you're getting up, trying to get the miles in pretty early when, and I'm sure you probably continue to do that as it heats up and everything else, try to get those miles in early. But how many hours a day have you think you've been averaging? I mean, I know it's different when you're on the trails and when you're on
it's very,
roads.
Yeah, it's very different. I would say, I'll just say maybe 6. The thing about it is I'm not turning my watch off or stopping anything when I'm doing, I've been running toward iced lattes. If any town has a coffee shop, I run, like that's my goal for the day, is to run to the iced latte.
Nice.
And so I'll sit there and talk to people locally. I give out a card that has my website on it and we talk about it. And then I have a latte and they get up and leave. And I have been, taking a lot more video and photos to be able to use for content because people want the daily updates. So I'm happy to, kind of check out. The whole purpose for me is to spend some actual time in the rural communities that I'm running through.
Yeah.
So I'd say most days, yes. It's 6.5. It just depends on the terrain. Now, there were days where I was sprinting through buckets of rain, just trying to make it to the end, and I was going super fast. And then there's days like today where I'm slogging away at 3 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, you're not trying, like some people try to do things like this at FKT, trying to, it's part of the experience and sharing it with others. And you would you wouldn't be fulfilling your goal if you just ran through every little town and not talked to people and not had your eyes latte.
That's exactly. Both of those are very important to me.
That's very important. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so your website is brydonrunning.net, right?
Yep. That's right.
Okay. And then I will put that in the show notes, and people can go in and they can see your current progress. You're currently in Indiana. They can, you've got a journal there. I'll also put links to your, I think you've been doing updates on Instagram pretty regular. That's where I've been watching the stuff.
Instagram. And then there's a longer video that I've tried to post every day on YouTube, which is linked through the web from my website as well. So trying to give everyone a little bit of flavor of what I'm going into every day, but also, parts of rural America that they maybe haven't spent any time in, and trying to pull out some of those special nuggets of places that maybe are on the side of the road that you wouldn't normally stop to even check out. Some of them are awesome. And so I want people to have an experience of that.
Nice, nice. So I want to encourage everybody to check out the website, check out Girls on the Run. Susan's out there running all these miles, so we can give a little bit of money. I plan on giving from the podcast. I'm saying that right now. So
Perfect.
And it's a great organization. And then if you're in the area, go share some miles with her.
Please do.
You'll have fun. It'll be fun.
Yes, please. We'll have some good talks and we can go through the mud and the poop porridge together. It'll be great. I promise.
Sounds fantastic. All right, Susan. Well, I'll be following along. I look forward to, we'll definitely talk again when you're done. We may do another one in the meet before that. We'll see.
Yeah. Let me know.
We'll chat back and forth, but we'll keep people up to date and keep going. Keep it up.
Thanks, David. I appreciate you. And yeah, reach out anyone if you want more details or you want to help in some specific way. Happy to help.
Ultra runners, yeah, we